Okay, today's adventure is going to be adjusting the GIBS on my new Granite 1340. I've ran it maybe 2 hours or so of total use, and we're going to adjust the GIBS. If you don't know what the GIBS are, I'll go over that in just a second. But first, there's adjustment screws on the Granite 1340 table across the top. Okay, that's for the cross slide. Now in the back here, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me try zooming in a little bit. But if you look, there's there's four in the back here. There's also up under here, and I'll try to videotape that later when I do it. There's an adjustment for the thread, the threaded rod that guides and controls the cross slide. We'll get to that last so that I can take a little bit of the slop out of the gear there. And then there's the compound, which is over here, and there's only 2 screws here and over here for the GIBS, and then of course this is the locking screw to lock this slide, or the compound. In the back, this is to lock the cross, or the saddle, as far as that goes. And then up here is 2 screws to lock the cross slide itself. So anyway, we'll get to the GIBS here in just a minute. Now, what exactly is a GIBS? Let me see if I can find one for you right quick. Right up underneath here, there is a dovetail. If you look, you'll see one side of the dovetail here, and then on the other side, you'll see another dovetail there. Now, that's on the cross slide. It is also on the compound, even though you cannot see it because it's inside, it's enclosed inside the compound. And then there's also another one, if you look here, really hard to see, sorry about that. There's another dovetail holding the saddle onto the ways. So if you look right here on my cross slide, right up underneath here, let me zoom in and see if I can get that to illuminate. This piece of metal, this shim, is the GIBS. The GIBS creates pressure between the actual cross slide here and the saddle, and then it works the same way for the compound, and it works the same way for the actual saddle itself on the ways. These screws go from the outside up against the GIBS itself and create that tension. What that does is it takes the sideways motion, or I'm going to say lateral, even though it's probably the wrong term, lateral motion, and it only allows linear motion. It also tightens the pinch on the dovetail, which actually holds these tables together in the first place. So it removes chatter, it removes play to a certain extent. There is a way to polish these. I'll go into that on another video. I learned from a friend of mine who's retired Navy, and he's a machinist. So I'll come back in a few minutes now that you know what dovetails and you know what GIBS are. We'll go ahead, we'll do the compound first, which I'm probably doing this backwards, but we're going to do the compound, we'll do the cross slide, and then we'll do the saddle, and we'll just go back and check everything, and then we'll go ahead and take some of this play right here out of the cross screw, or the screw on the slide itself. Hopefully we can take some of that out. The other 2, maybe I can take a little bit out of the compound as well. We'll find out. Now, where am I getting this information? Let me stand up and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, when I ordered the Granite from Smithy, as you can see, this is the 1340 MAXX, which I do like. I'm actually quite proud of it. This is the operator's manual, and over here on the left we're going to go to adjusting the GIBS on page 5-9. So I'll come back when I get to that page and we'll go over the way to set these. Okay, I'm going to change my plan of attack here just a little bit. I'm going to go by the book, and the book mentions the GIBS on the carriage assembly first, which I'm going to try to zoom in here, are the 4 screws that I showed you on the back of the saddle itself, which rides on the ways. So we're going to start there, and then we're going to move on to the actual cross slide here, which I showed you. The GIBS that I showed you is actually, let me get my finger in the picture here. The GIBS is actually right up here in this dovetail. And then last, we'll come over, we'll adjust the compound, or next to last. And then once we're done with that, I'll find the chapter on taking the play out of the threaded rods. So, I'll be back when I'm ready to get started on this. Okay, now, first I'm going to apologize for the angle, but it's a little bit tight quarters back here behind the lathe. I removed the set screw to tighten down the saddle as it moves, transverses up and down the ways here. So it's down there on the bottom. So first thing I'm going to do, and I'm sorry about blocking the camera here, I'll do my best not to, but I'm going to loosen up the screws here, which that wrench don't fit. So let's try the 14mm and see if it fits. It does not. So we'll use an adjustable wrench. I should have had this ready before, but I didn't. So, okay. So anyway, I'm going to back off on each one of these screws, and we're going to adjust them one at a time until it's snug, and then we'll try the saddle until I get a nice tight slide, but at the same time it's loose enough to where it does not bind. We don't want it to bind. We just want it to be snug, or from my understanding anyway. If you have any comments on the way that I'm doing this, positive or negative, they are welcome at any time. So, okay, so that one's snug already. I'm turning these clockwise even though I'm upside down. That one was a little bit loose. That one was snug. Now I'm not forcing these. I'm just snugging them. Now, let me see how it rides. Saddle, that is. Okay. Really did not need adjustment on that. So, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the Allen wrench back in, and I'm going to tighten these clockwise until they're tight. I'm going to use the Allen wrench to keep the set screws from tightening up any tighter than they already are. So I'm putting a little bit of counterclockwise pressure on the actual set screws that ride up against the GIBS, while I'm turning the nut clockwise. Okay. I do not know where my wrench is for this, but I'm gonna, once I stop the video after I'm done tightening these, I'm gonna see if I can find it. Whoops, I moved that one. Alright, there we go. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is reinstall my locking lever. I'm going to call it that because I don't know what it's called, but it is a locking lever. And I'm going to snug it up. I'm going to pull it out one full turn just to make sure it's not engaged up against the GIBS. This also puts pressure on the GIBS in order to stop the saddle from traveling when you're using the cross table for cutting. And of course, since this is a 3-in-1 machine, you also use it to lock it for the the mill attachment as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to find, actually I think this wrench fits these for some reason. No, I'm wrong there. Yep, okay, it does fit here. So let's go ahead and continue with these. Okay. So now I'm just going to support these. I'm going counterclockwise with the wrench. I'm going to hold the set screw by putting a little bit of pressure in a clockwise direction. I'm sorry if I'm blocking what I'm doing. Let me try it from this angle here. Put the wrench on first. Okay. clockwise with the Allen wrench, counterclockwise with the locking nut. And then I've got 3 more to go. So we'll do those right quick. Okay, 2 more to go. Now, this cross slide I know is a little bit loose, and I'm assuming I'm gonna have to adjust more than one of the set screws. So we'll find out here shortly. Okay. Now, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with the back, and that one's tight. That one was a little bit loose. Well, it's not tight, it's snug. Snug and snug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back off on these and re-snug them. These things really seem to be tight. Now, according to what I've read, you can tighten these. That's really, really tight up in there. Wow. I'm almost afraid to turn them. But what you're supposed to do is adjust these while you're moving the cross slide. And you're adjusting them just enough to feel a little bit of resistance, but not enough to cause excessive resistance. And what that's going to do is that's going to tighten down any lateral movement that you have in the cross slide. Now you see that I back these up. I'm going to go ahead and back this cross slide out. I have a reference mark here to let me know the maximum range of travel right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and transverse it in again. I might have to pull these screws out completely to make sure that they're okay. A little bit of resistance there. So let's go ahead and put this one in. And then you need to check the resistance going in both directions. Now that's a little too tight. You need to check the resistance going in both directions. You want it to be smooth, but firm. And you want it that way for the entire travel of the table. Now my other reference mark was factory installed, and I don't think you can see it coming on the camera yet. No, not yet. I'm going to take this table, I'm going to take the camera and move it a little bit. I'm not on a tripod, I'm on a cardboard box. Okay, so what we've done is I've set all 5 of these to where there's a little bit of resistance on the GIBS. Here's my maximum travel right here. I have another reference mark here. And it's snug, but it's not tight. So I'm probably going to loosen up just a little bit on this one and this one. Come over here, here, okay. And we're going to stop right there for now, and I'm going to stop the video, and then I'm going to lock all 5 of these up, and then we'll come up and we'll do the, now you see it's getting looser on this end over here. So tighten this up just a touch, tighten this up just a touch. This one. And this one. And this one. Now that snugged it up nicely. There's my maximum travel. I'm going to put the table back in. I'm going to stop the video and go ahead and tighten these up. and then I'll come back and we'll do the compound. So we'll see you in a minute.